Hello and welcome folks to another Premodern video. We're going to be playing in the Magic Online Society League, and if you are familiar with my content, you know that I am obsessed with this card. I think this card is the best creature in the entire format, and this list was born from a deck list that I saw the one and the only Jared Doucette playing in one of the monthlies or whatever, and I thought it was really interesting. Like, it was a really cool approach to Madness, and I am sort of starting from what he was doing and then adapting things in a little bit of a different way. So let me explain what I mean by this. So the mana base in Madness is terrible, but you obviously what you want to do is you want to add a third color in order to make it better, right? It may seem weird and counterintuitive, but I actually think that is correct. And this all goes to how mana in Premodern is very interesting because it's actually drawing in different angles, right? So the problem with Blue with Madness is the fact that, number one, you have very steep green requirements because you need to be activating Survival, right? Like, that's your engine. On top of that, you also have a very dire requirement of having access to a bunch of islands because of Wonder. And then because of Daze, because of potentially Foil and Gush if you are a madman like Cyberpunker is. So what this deck is doing is entirely foregoing the whole Daze, Foil, all of that nonsense out of here. How? Because we are able to make up for that by having a card like Swords to Plowshares, which is going to allow us to trade always upwards on mana, or at least worst case scenario even on mana, or Melee Mage, which is going to allow us to do something proactive that disrupts in the same fashion or even potentially much better, much more powerful way than Daze does. So what this does is a couple of different things. Number one, the fact that Daze is a card that actually puts you behind is the opposite of what a tempo deck like Madness wants to be doing, which is really awkward, right? Like, because sometimes you are forced into going turn one basic island where you just like shrug and you just pass the turn back, hoping that your opponent is going to play something into your Daze. But in reality, if they do, it's also really bad for you because you're going to be, behind the turn. So this list completely changes the approach, and now in order to disrupt your opponent, you're actually doing something proactive. You're actually using Melee Mage, you are using Swords to Plowshares in order to not have to Daze that Lackey or that turn one mana dork or that, like that Dreadnought. You don't have to be fighting on that axis that is kind of awkward for the Madness deck to fight, and you are instead able to do something proactive. So that's very cool. We still have the same shell of the Madness deck: 4 Careful Study, 3 copies of Frantic Search, alongside the 3 Squeeze, which obviously work fantastic with Survival of the Fittest. And then we have 4 Basting Roadwalla, 4 Wild Mongrel, singleton Aquamoeba, singleton Water from Bouncer, triple our Arrogant Worm, which is our late game card, and then a singleton copy of Wonder. As I was saying, Melee Mage is a key part of this puzzle because it really is what adds the disruption. Instead of having all of these clunky cards, and Jerry was playing Circular Logic in his list, which is just not a great card in Madness and not a great card overall, period. I think it obviously it's a lot of nostalgia for Circular Logic that we all have, but the truth of the matter is that Premodern is not old standard. So because of that, Circular Logic is just clunky, it's just awkward. It forces you to have Aquamoeba or Wild Mongrel in play because Survival doesn't really enable the discard clause. Sure, Frantic Surge is also a way to enable it, but like that is still what, like 8 ways to enable your counterspell. Otherwise, it's a really bad 3-mana counterspell. Like, that's just awful. So I was thinking of playing Mana Leak instead, but what I ended up thinking is, okay, I'm only going to looking to counter very specific cards at very specific points in the game, meaning the late game. Because in the early game, my goal is to be able to interact thanks to Swords to Plowshares and Melee Mage. So because of that, the choice of counterspell is kind of awkward because the mana base doesn't really help to support it, but I'm not aiming basically ever to cast counterspell on turn 2. Like, that's not something I'm actively seeking to do. It is I'm holding counterspell to counter that key Wrath of God, right? or that key combo piece that's gonna kill me on turn like 4 or 5 or 6, like the key replenish or whatever. So it's kind of like a sort of goes hand in hand with the meddling mage, with the disruption of the meddling mage. So we name the key card with the meddling mage, and then we protect the meddling mage thanks to counterspell. So that's kind of like the way that I was thinking of building this deck. And then we have the mana base. We have 3 City of Brass and 1 Undiscovered Paradise. I saw Undiscovered Paradise in Jared's list, and I thought it was very interesting. It may be awkward, and the card that I was thinking of instead would be Treva's Ruins. Obviously, they kind of slots very nicely. So Undiscovered Paradise doesn't ask you for the, give up your turn right now. The problem is that Undiscovered Paradise asks you to give up your turn every single turn after that, So if Undiscovered Paradise is your only land, you still cannot keep that hand anyway. Even if Undiscovered Paradise is your second land, you would really wish that that was actually Treva's instead, because you're just never going to be hitting your land drops ever again, while Treva's is just like, it asks you to just give up that one turn and then you're good after that. So I'm going to try the Undiscovered Paradise because it's just a one-off, but I could very well see a situation where the correct card to be playing here would be Treva's Ruins instead. And as this mana base is built, it has 15 blue sources, 11 white sources, and 12 green sources. It actually has much better mana than Cyberpunker's list has. So it is not great. I'm not arguing with that. And again, like, Madness is probably going to have always bad mana. I don't think it's something that's necessarily fixable. That's kind of one of the problems that comes with the color pair. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to not necessarily make the mana base better, but make it less awkward, right? Like, change the requirements by cutting the days, by cutting the stuff, and by basically leaving my actual island requirement to specifically the Singleton Wonder. I am aiming to make overall the mana base situation a lot more manageable. When we go to the sideboard, I am just kind of throwing cards in there. Like, I didn't really put that much thought into it because I don't know what this deck's holes are going to be just yet. So what I wanted to have was just some generic good cards. So obviously, Monk Realist, Gilded Drake, Genesis, Octavio, Orangutan. These are going to be my Singleton bullets for survival purposes, of course. 5 Hydroblast effects, because I expect red decks to be very bad matchups for this deck. So that's why we go all the way up to 5. And then 4 copies of Naturalizes, because this card is cracked in this format, and 2 copies of Tormod's Crypt. I was considering 1 Crypt, 1 Phyrexian Furnace. This is what I've been doing in a bunch of my lists as of lately, including my Dreadnought deck. I was also considering just 2 Phyrexian Furnace. So the upside of Furnace is that you can bring it in stuff like the Mirror, or against decks that are trying to like slowly get value from their graveyard. Even stuff like the Rock is actually quite solid against stuff like the Rock, because you can make sure that the Recurrent Nightmare engine is never online, whereas Tormod's Crypt is just not worth the card in those matchups. But it's a lot better when you're getting paired against something like Angry Hermit or Replenish, or decks where they're actually using their entire graveyard as value, or like as an engine or as their actual endgame. So it's a little bit of a little push and pull, and in the end, it's just going to be your choice. Like, you can choose whichever card you want here. I'm really excited to try this deck list. I think that the theory behind it is very cool, and it's just a very interesting way of building Madness. This is just my little spin on it, changing some cards that I was not such a fan of, and just trying out some cards. Like, I've never played this exact 75 before, so I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to be playing 5 matches in this league, so hopefully things go well for us. If you're enjoying my content, as usual, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. If you would like to support what I do, you have a couple of different ways that you can do it. You can do so through Mana Traders and TCG Player whenever you use their services. Using the links that you will find in the description of the video down below, you are going to be supporting my content for free at no extra cost to you whatsoever. And then if you would like to support my content directly, you can do so through Patreon, through direct donations. I can play any deck list of your choice whenever you make a donation of $30 or more. And finally, if you're interested in coaching to take your gaming to the next level, that's also a service that I offer. Thank you so much for checking out this video, and I'll see you for the first round. Alright, is this going to be awesome or is this going to be terrible? Only one way to find out, I guess. This hand looks, I guess, reasonable. We have Squee to get the engine going. We have turn 1 Careful Study, which is one of our strongest starts. And I think I like this opening. Playing against Wooded Foothills. Okay. Basic Forest. Pass the turn. Okay. So I'm gonna go turn 1 Careful Study here, because I'm gonna attempt to play Mongrel on 2. It's an interesting pickup. So we're obviously gonna be discarding Squee, and then I don't think I want to discard a land. I don't think I want to discard Water from Bouncer. Opponent went with a green card, with a green land. I think. I think I'm gonna discard Swords to Plowshares, because I think if both of these are valuable, Swords to Plowshares has to be good against green decks, right? I could also just discard Arrogant Worm, but Arrogant Worm is like the spell that I'm planning to play on turn 3 if nothing changes. So I think the discard is going to be one of these 3. Unclear which one of them. I think it's going to be Bouncer, just because it's the slower one. It's possible that I should be discarding Meddling Mage, particularly if we're playing something against, like, I don't know, like blue-green Stifle Knot or whatever. Obviously, it's going to be a lot better. Do something else. Nature's Lore. Okay. It's a card that you don't see every day. To be fair, I do think that's a very underplayed. So if we find the Plains, okay, we did, but I don't know what I'm going to be naming just yet, so I think we're just going to play out a Mongrel and just send it back. We can, once we know what's up, we can potentially play Meddling Mage Island. Okay, so let's play the Flooded Strand and let's attack. And I think I'm just going to discard Squee just to pump here, just to get 1 extra point. And we're gonna fetch for a Plains, and end step we're going to an Arrogant Worm, I think. It's a lot of mana. What the hell is Will up to over there? I could go with the the Blind Call and just like play Meddling Mage on. I could play Meddling Mage on Oath of Druids. Could play Meddling Mage on Upheaval. I mean, in any case, I'm just gonna cast this. So there goes that. It's black, painted black, I guess. That's a good one. All right, so I have Counterspell in my deck, so I'm gonna play out the Yavimaya instead of the basic forest. And I think I'm very interested in making this a 2-turn clock. So let's attack, and I'm going to discard Squee. Hailstorm. Twitch and creature one. Okay, that's fine. Seems not great against us. Make it green. So we discard Wonder, take a couple of points, but here for 8, he goes down to 7. And now we just have to make a blind call here. Oath of Druids doesn't do anything. So what could my opponent have that I would lose to? I wonder if they're playing any sort of combo deck. I wonder if they're playing Upheaval. So the things that I have in mind is anything like Frantic Storm style. I have Oath of Druids is definitely a possibility. And then there's just some sort of Upheaval kind of deck. I have to play Meddling Mage here because I don't think it's very likely we're going to have another turn. And am I just naming Stasis? He has too much green though to be on Stasis. Like you don't just splash Hailstorm, right? This is a card that needs to be in your, I guess, Fog. I'm gonna name Fog. Is this like a blind? I mean, I'm gonna name Fog and see what happens. Worst case scenario, we have a good laugh, right? Worst case scenario, we have a good laugh. Maybe Moment's Peace was a better thing to name than Fog. Chain of Vapor would have also been a reasonable thing to name. But yeah, no idea whatsoever what Will is up to. He's been brewing lately. You love to see it. It's a lot of mana. It's 6 mana. This is Upheaval. The thing is that if he goes for Upheaval, early harvest. Okay, I guess that's a good one. That's a good one. Maybe I should have considered that. I was thinking of the other one anyway. Like I feel like I would not have named early harvest. I would have named Turnabout. Okay, he's got a bunch of mana. Meditate. All right, so I guess we're just gonna be F6ing here. He either kills me or he dies. So I guess I should be expecting some sort of Frantic Storm style win condition here. I'm definitely going to be keeping the Meddling Mages because I'm going to be expecting Oath of Druids post board. I wonder if that means that I should be holding on to. I do wonder. Okay, Impulse. Here we go. It's a lot of mana. 7 mana. Another early harvest. Looks like it. Okay. He has 10 mana right now. Rampant Growth. Building up Storm. For red. Interesting. Cunning Wish. For Hibernation. Okay. So that means that Meddling Mage does not get rid. Oh, actually, I messed up. I had to discard a card. Yeah, I F6'd and I had to discard a card to Wild Mongrel there. That was bad. I mean, it was fairly easy, right? It was just a fairly easy play. I just I just was f6. Okay, so let's play Mongrel here. And, I mean, we still have lethal next turn anyway, but I think I would have been able to just have lethal right now. So I got definitely pretty punished by the f6 there. Oh, I mean, he's just dead. Yeah, I messed this up. Obviously, I had like super lethal, but yeah, I forgot that he meditated. So he actually missed, skipped his next turn. So I totally missed. It didn't really matter. That was cool though. So do we have any cards at all for this matchup? I wonder if Tormod Script matters at all. This is not the kind of combo deck that I was expecting to face. I do wonder if I should be playing some Blue Elemental Blasts. I think I want to cut Swords to Plowshares anyway, and I guess I'm gonna go 3 Naturalize, 1 Blue Elemental Blast, and call it a day. Potentially Gilded Drake. Gilded Drake is sometimes a decent answer to Oath. And I'm only considering Blue Elemental Blast because he showed me the basic mountain, right? That's the only reason. So I think I'm gonna go this. Bring in Naturalize, and I'm gonna cut the Water Bouncer for... And I think that's it. I think that those are all the changes. Okay. I think I'm keeping this. I'm probably not gonna Careful Study on turn 1. I don't think. Well, that's actually a good one. So, yeah, I think change of plans, because I kind of want to find another island. Perfect. So let's discard Squee and the basic forest. And now we're gonna be fine here. We're gonna have survival going, which is nice. There's rampant growth there. We have both of our counter spells. Get back Squee. I could slam survival right now. I think I'm going to. I think I'm just gonna slam survival here because I don't think I'm too afraid of getting comboed right now. And this allows me to start putting pressure on him while holding up. Yeah, so I think that's a good turn to survival. And the fact that I have a second survival means even if he has it natural, I don't care. Yeah, let's go Flooded Strand, and we're gonna say go. Alternatively, I could go find the plains. I think I'm just gonna say go. I'm just gonna pass the turn. I'm gonna get a Basking Root while we're going to start the chain. A little bit short on green sources, but that's fine. So start Squee. Actually, we can just get Meddling Mage here. Let's just get Meddling Mage. Untap. Get back Squee. Another green source is great. So let's play that. Fetch for a forest. So now having found the second green source, I'm a little bit less happy about what I just did. I think this is still fine. We can just ship the turn back, make a couple of Root Wallas on end step. Foth. I think Foth is fine. Yeah, and Moment's Peace is a card that I was getting. So I guess let's go here. I think we split it this way because these are the combo pieces, but we're gonna name Early Harvest anyway. And yeah, so more lands means more just random cards means that they can get back their stuff with Nostalgic Dreams, but then we can start playing basically 1 Melee Mage every single turn, which should be pretty decent. So I think he's gonna pass the turn here, and then we get to play Rootwalla on end step. So discard Squee, get Rootwalla, discard Rootwalla. Pressure is on, baby. Pressure is on. And now I get to... I can cast a Meddling Mage next turn, or I can continue holding up. I can continue holding up Counter Magic. I think I'm going to get Arrogant. We untap. Here comes back Squee. We untap. We play a land. And do I want to... I guess I can just spend 2 mana to play Aquamoeba here. And this is kind of nice because it gives me something with a different color, which is nice. Still doesn't force me to, to fetch for island or plains, so I can hold up counterspell. And on end step, we can drop an area, like if he passes the turn once again. So my goal here would be to get to a point where I can play Meddling Mage and hold up counter. Because I think that it's way too likely for him to have stuff like, just like random things that can mess me up, right? Like for him to have random stuff like, I don't know, like Chain of Vapor or stuff like that. So he kind of wishes on end step, which is fine for Naturalize, which I'm gonna let resolve actually. Don't think I care. Like this survival already did work. I already have the Aquamio in play now, so I'm going to be able to Arrogant Worm on end step if he does something. If he doesn't do anything, if he does something, I just get to counterspell it. So I think we are in okay shape. His hand is Nostalgic Dreams and then 5 Unknowns. We're going to be able to put some serious pressure on him. All right, tapping out for Early Harvest. Yeah, that's okay. Early Harvest, it's fine. So I'm going to counter something like a mid. Yeah, okay, that one I will need. Island. And he's going to be able to Nostalgic Dreams here, but he may just get some random cards too. He's not guaranteed to be able to continue. I think that just letting him draw 4 is way too risky. Oh, this is actually target. I thought this was at random. Oh, so this is not one of the drums. Like all of this cycle is kind of weird. Like some of them force you to discard at random, some don't. Some allow you to target, some don't. I guess I should have read the card before countering that one. Yeah, because now I think, yeah. So it would have been better for me to just hold on to Nostalgic Dreams. Ooh, Anger. That explains the thing now, right? He's still not out of the woods though. Like he still needs to like find whatever he's got the mana. So now it's a matter of does he also have the cards, right? So that's why he's casting Meditate right now, because he needs to not whiff. He can still whiff at this point. Okay, doesn't seem like a whiff. Should I be bringing in Tormod's Script here? And I feel like if I had Fire X Infernus in my deck, I would bring it. But Tormod's Script seems, I don't know. It doesn't seem obvious to me whether it's a card I want or not. Of the Herd. Okay, he's gonna need more than that. It's not gonna be enough because he's gonna be time walking himself twice. Okay, no more mana. That's it. Well, all right. So we have a couple of turns here. So let's go fetch. And we're going to go basic planes. We're going to cast Meddling Mage. And Meddling Mage is going to name... We can name Moment's Peace. We can name Moment's Peace. I mean, I think we're just going to name Early Harvest. So let's just name Early Harvest. Then we're going to... I think we're just going to play Survival. And just activate Survival, discard Squee, and find Wonder. So now we discard Wonder to the Aquamoeba. This allows us to hit for 4. And now we untap. This is our second turn. We still have one more turn to go. So Squee comes back. Rudwala is not the worst, I guess. Let's Survival, discard a Worm, and cast Worm. And now we're gonna, I guess, Mongrel. Get Mongrel, cast Mongrel, discard Rudwala to Narco. I think we're gonna be able to win this last turn, if I'm not mistaken. Because he cast 2 Meditates. He whiffed, so. Alright, we got there. That was nice. That was nice. Round number 2. So we have infinite bounces with this hand and a turn 2 Meddling Mage. I mean, if I knew that we were playing against Dreadnought, I think I would snap this off. But as is, I'm gonna ship it. This is good though. I think I'm keeping this. And I think I'm gonna bottom the redundant Mongrel instead of anything else. And yeah, I think this hand is strong. Oof. All right. Here's a careful study. Does this one resolve? Because if it does, oh baby, we're onto the board. That's for sure. Man, I miss this. When I was a kid, like this was the life right here. I would like 2 1/1s, please. Thank you. Opponent goes turn 1 Flooded Strand, so that doesn't really tell too much. I think, I'm not sure about this, but I'm pretty sure that Flooded Strand is the most popular fetch land in all of Premodern. If I had to guess, I would guess Flooded Strand. Let's say it like that. If I had to guess what the number 1 fetch land in Premodern is, I would definitely guess Flooded. So I think what I want to do here is I want to play Wild Mongrel this turn, and then I'm going to assume that my opponent's playing like Blue-White Control of some sort, and then I think I'm gonna play on turn 3 Meddling Mage naming Wrath. That's gonna force my opponent to have both the Wrath. Okay, so it is Mana Leak, so most definitely some form of control there. So what we're gonna try to do is we're gonna try to put enough pressure on my opponent to force them to tap out for a Wrath or something, and then be able to resolve survive. It's an island. Okay. So I think we just attack here, and I think I'm just gonna pump. Does my opponent need to kill this? Because what I kind of don't want to happen is to get got by human. I could also just like hardcast a squee or whatever. It's just, I mean, it is another 1/1. It does do something. I think I'm just gonna pump. And then next turn I can pump and play Meddling Mage. Oh, Swords of Pleasure, that's great. Yeah, this is great. All right, I can work with this. So now next turn I'm gonna play Meddling Mage and pump. We're definitely playing against like Standstill or it's a Darker Wastes. Careful Studies, nice. So I think we lead on Study. See if maybe I should have played the Undiscovered Paradise first. Actual count. All right, swing for 1. We're gonna play Meddling Mage and we're gonna name Wrath. Blue one, name Wrath. So this is kind of awkward because we have a double squee hand, but there are certain top decks that I have that are just kind of incredible, like that one. Like exactly, for example. So let's go Antic Search. See if my opponent does anything. Okay. I mean, if they're looking for a counter spell, this is, oh baby, that is strong. So we played a land already. I think I want to attack here just with Root Wall. I guess I could attack with both. I think I attack with both because I would be trading with the factory. The factory cannot pump itself. So let's do that. Swing for 5. And I don't think my opponent has counter magic. I don't think they do. The problem is they could definitely have a Seal of Cleansing kind of effect. And I think that is extremely bad for me. So I'm just gonna sit on it. Swords to Plowshares, the Mage. That's very much acceptable. Fairy Conclave and pass. Squeeze are coming back. And now I think we're gonna go. That is. Alright. This is survival. And they don't have the counters. So now we just chill and we just go nuts with this survival. I kind of want to counter this, but at the same time I can just ride this survival to victory. I'm at 20. Yeah, I think this is fine. So yeah, all of this is fine. You can have Wrath, Mana Leak, and a bunch of card draw on the other hand. I think this is fine. Because we're actually kind of ahead here if opponent attempts to resolve a Standstill. So I think this is fine. Because we're going to have 2 Root Wallas. And then we're going to be able to give them all 4. Okay, so opponent goes for Standstill and Double Impulse. This seems like a pretty good exchange for me. I don't think they are factoring in the fact that I can go with 1. We're going to go get Root Walla. Discard, Root Walla resolves. Survival for 1. We untap, Squee comes back. So yes, a land. Survival, discard Wonder. My dudes fly. I think I'm gonna go get just get Arrogant. We're just gonna serve. See if opponent wants to trade for the Fairy Conclave. I think my opponent thought they had more time than they did. They impulse. That's fine. We also have counterspell. We're gonna play a 4/4 in my opponent's end step if they don't do anything. Alright, take 2. Untap. Another imp. Enlighten Tutor. So I think they're just gonna go get Seal of Cleansing. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, they're dead now. Like, it's just so late to get rid of the survival. I think I just let the Seal of Cleansing resolve. Because the card that I actually care about is Wrath of God here. So I think we just let that resolve. Opponent pops. I'm going to activate Survival, discarding Squee. So we're gonna do a little bit of a pivot here. The surprise pivot, here's a Root Walla. Then we're going to discard Root Walla, put it into play. And I think I'm just gonna get Meddling Mage here. Mage is fine. I think they're gonna attempt to Wrath, and then we counter that, and then we untap and we kill them. Or they just do anything. They plan to just chomp. That one gets countered, and then we have lethal. Oof! Like a fiddle, opponent. You've been played. That was cool. That was a game. Yeah, you just saw the problem of Enlightened Tutor, right? You're just telegraphing your play a little bit too obviously. Okay, so Genesis obviously fantastic. Monk Realist seems potentially good. I guess that's not the case actually, because I'm now realizing that it doesn't kill. Naturalize is good because Naturalize kills the Humility, it kills Seal or stuff like that. So I think we just cut the Swords to Plowshares. Monk Realist actually doesn't do anything against against the standstill deck. We got Genesis. Anything else we may want? We gotta cut something. I think I want to cut water. This is good. If my opponent has like a juke sideboard plan where they just, you know, they just pivot and they put an Exalted Angel into play, I'm gonna get owned so hard. It's gonna be great. I'm never upset about losing to the card to the card Exalted Angel. So far, I am not a fan of the Undiscovered Paradise, so I was considering about, you know, as I said in the deck about Treva's Ruins instead. I think that's gonna be better as a one-off. I think that's gonna be a more valuable one-off to have access to than the Undiscovered Paradise. Like, so far, it's been really up. The fact that it puts you down a turn every single turn is kind of a beat. I think I'd rather just, like, effectively skip a land drop one turn and then just, you know, move on from there. But I've drawn it, I think I drew it twice already, and both times it was really, really up. Alright, what is this? This looks good to me. I think we keep this. So we have the option of playing out Rootwalla on one, or I think I want to play out the Rootwalla. The reason being, I don't want my opponent to just play Standstill and just be in the clear, you know? So if they want to play Standstill on 2, they're going to have to plow the on turn 1. They fetch on my end step. Let's see. Island. Okay, that's not... So yeah, so there was an argument there for holding onto the Rootwalla as fodder for the survive. I think this is better. So let's swing. Opponent's holding up counter spell, but I think I want them to counter something here. So I'm gonna play the Aquamoeba as bait because it's the worst card. If this gets countered, I don't think I care too much. But at the same time, on my opponent's eye, this is like an enabler for all my shenanigans. So I don't know if they can just leave a resolve. Yep. Beautiful. Perfect sequencing. So now it's going to be the moment of truth, right? Whether they're going to be able to like hold up counter magic once again, or... Okay, so they magic. So what do I want to do? I think I want to play Frantic Search and see what my opponent... No, actually, no. I think I'm just going to play Whirl here. No counter magic. Okay, swing for 1. So if they're Wrath here, I think next turn I just resolve Survival and start doing the Survival thingy. Impulse on end step. We are somewhat behind here. We're somewhat behind here. If they have the Wrath. If they don't have the Wrath, then we're just obviously... I'm assuming that they have the land plus Wrath here. Oh, no land. I mean, they have the land, but they don't have the proper color. Interesting. Well, so let's attack. See what's up. Okay. So here's a survival. And I'm leaning on survival now because my opponent, if they want to counter it, they're not foffing. And this turn, I definitely want to jam something, right? Because otherwise, if I do nothing, my opponent just gets a free turn to factor thing. Here is Meddling Mage. And let's see if my opponent has another counter spell. Because otherwise, I'm naming Wrath of God. Wrath of God has been named. There's an argument for naming Humility instead, but... I mean, if they have the Humility, they have the Humility, which I can do. On the plus side, if I draw Naturalize, I win the game on the spot, so that's nice. Let's see if I can find the Naturalize in time. Ooh, they don't have it. They don't have it. So I just Meddling Mage name Humility here. Oh man, this is glorious. Humility. There's an argument for naming Swords to Plowshares instead, but I don't think my opponent's gonna have the time if they go for Swords to Plowshares, because they're not gonna be able to both plow the Meddling Mage and also drop the Humility. And at this point, the Humility actually kind of beats them down. They're at 7, right? Once again, Meddling Mage being a fantastic card. Just worth the splash by itself. Single-handedly worth the splash. Okay, so we have to assume that my opponent has Swords to Plowshares here. So what is the play? We know they have Humility, and we know that they have a blocker in Fairy Conclave. So I do think that I want to... I think I just attack with everything, actually, because let's say that my opponent plays they use Fairy Conclave to block the Meddling Mage on Wrath. That's actually bad for me. So I guess I attack with the one on Humility, but I don't attack with the one on Wrath. I think that is the play. And as is, I can already just pump Rootwalla and discard something to the Mongrel. Oh, actually, if we attack like this, they block here, plow the other one. They take 7 anyway, if I want. Yeah, this is just a good attack. Just serving with everything is just a good... okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's give it a little pump. Let's give it a little pump and see what's up. And lethal. Perfect. All right, 2-0. All right, we're getting paired against the legend himself, Ollie. And this game good versus Elves. Ollie has been on an Elves tear since I started playing the format, so he is ridiculously good at playing this deck. If I keep this hand, I'm setting up towards an early survival. I don't think Careful Study and Frantic Search do that much. The problem is the cards that I'm looking for here are going to be Swords of Plowshares and Melee Mage. We're also on the draw. And notably, this is the matchup that I'm very scared of, right? Like, this is a matchup that I'm not particularly well prepared. This is kind of what we give up when we're splashing red instead of white. So, I think I'm going to ship this hand. This one puts pressure early, at least. So it's kind of fine. I'm going to keep this, and I think I'm going to bottom... Flooded Strand number 2 instead of City of Brass, because this gives me more green mana for survival. Ooh, Swamp? Alright, I guess I got played. I got played. Alright, so let's go Flooded Strand, and I'm just going to pass the turn here. Bad Moon. Okay. So now I can go for either Survival or... I think I'm going to go for Survival. Instead of going for... The reason for going for... No, actually I'm going to go for Aquamoeba. This means I get to play Rootwalla and then I get to play Arrogant Worm next turn. Actually, that seems better. Bad Moon is kind of annoying here, though. The difference between 2-2 and 3-3 zombies, as you can see, is actually quite relevant. Huh, so Ole started playing zombies, huh? Did not expect that. That's cool. Cabal Therapy. I imagine some name Survival here. He can also name Arrogant Worm, which I don't have the mana for. Yep. Alright, Worm down. He's gotta get Survival here. Like, he just has to, right? There's no way. So Worm goes to the graveyard. And now he just has to flashback. There's no other possible play here. Yep, he just has to. Alright, so we have many plays that win the game on the spot, which is nice. Like, if I find a second Survival, we probably just win. I'm not gonna discard Rootwalla because I don't think the 2 extra points of damage are gonna... I guess it's gonna be... No, actually, it's gonna be more than that. Yeah, okay, so let's... this is so bad if I top deck Survival, though. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass on that. Like, I'm so good at this game. I am so good at this game. Alright, swing for 1. Your go. I guess I could have actually swung for 2. Yeah, that was pretty good. Alright, so rewarded for making the correct play. You love to see it. Alright, you got me, Ollie. I'm going to discard this Basking Rootwalla, cast it for its madness cost, and I'm gonna get Squee here. Just make sure we get the engine going. Wow, he doesn't have any other zombies? Really? He has 3 cards in hand and no zombies at all. That's crazy. Alright, so this matchup probably a lot better than Elves. I'll say that much. I will say that much. So I don't think I care for Counterspell. This is the card I'm not super high on. I think I want Genesis. I don't want any of these cards, though this is another matchup where if I did have access to Phyrexian Furnace, I would consider it, but I'm definitely not going to bring it into Homo Script. Elemental Blasts don't do anything, so the question is, do I want something like Monk Realist / Orangutan? I think I'm interested enough in Monk Realist. I don't think I'm as interested in Naturalize or Uktabi, but I think I'm interested in these 2 cards, and both of these seem better than the card Counterspell. Melee Mage I'm not super high on, but it can be disruptive, and it's just a 2-drop that I can cast on curve, and theoretically 2/2s line up well against my opponent's 2/2s, because my main goal is to delay the game. Like, if we go long, I'm going to win 100% of the time because I have Survival and my opponent doesn't. So my goal is going to be to try to prolong the game as much as I can. And this hand looks solid. Keep it. We have double Mongrel. I'm not super stoked about. Like, if he therapies Mongrel on 1, that's going to be really bad for me. He moves to 5. Okay. Well, here's Yavimaya Coast, and here's a Careful Study. Whew. It's pretty good. It's pretty strong. Decent way to start things off there. Now the question is going to be, do I want a melee mage or do I want wild mongrel on 2? Oof. Okay, so I definitely want to... I need to get these mongrels out of my hand. What could he have kept is the question here. Which card? Because he moved to 5. So he has to have some banger. So I could play Meddling Mage, naming something like Lord of the Undead, potentially. Or I can just play out the Wild Mongrel. Wild Mongrel obviously a lot better versus the card Cabal Therapy. Just playing out the Mongrel, I mean. I think I'm scared enough of Therapy that I'm willing to... I mean, I'm going to attack first, I guess. Because he can't block. So, and now play out a Mongrel and say go. Mongrel doesn't die to Vendetta, which is very cool. It does die to Smother, but if he's Smother, he doesn't Dystopia. Okay. So, what I can do here, funny enough, is just like discard a card every upkeep. The bad part is I don't get to play Meddling Mage, so here, obviously, Rudwalla dies. And we're not going to pay 3 for Genesis, but that's a big one. Yep, that's a big one. So, pass the turn. I think I actually want to play a Mongrel here. And the reason for playing out a second Mongrel, I guess I should have attacked, but the reason to play out a second Mongrel is now we can go Squee plus Genesis every turn. And I can discard the Basking Rudwalla to not have to sack this. Lord of the Undead is big. Should have attacked last turn. Okay, so let's fetch for Plains. Upkeep. We're gonna Genesis the Rudwalla. Oh, no. Oh, I auto-yielded to this. Oh, man. That sucks. That sucks. Second time that I get got by the auto-yield. I should probably stop doing that, huh? Well, pass it back, I guess. Pass it back. So I wanted to, like... I guess I wanted to yield to just the pay 1 cumulative upkeep, but I guess I just cannot auto-yield to this. Second Lord. Okay. I mean, he doesn't have any cards in hand, and this squeeze is bigger than everything that he has going on. So, if he wants to attack, I'm game. This single Mongrel is just keeping my entire board, my opponent's entire board in check. And eventually, they're just gonna have to let that go. So, like, massive punt, but it looks like we may not be punished here. So, upkeep. Discard this, making this black. Now that trigger resolves, and now we're gonna pay for Genesis. Yeah. Survival is not half bad. So this is going to ensure that we're just gonna have the long game on lock now. Because we're gonna be able to get a bunch of squeeze, and we're gonna start to just discard squee every single upkeep. So we kind of have them on lock here. Oh, this is permanent! Whoops. Alright, mistakes are being made here right now, but it's fine. I mean, I think it's still fine anyway, right? I just get a bunch of squeeze. Like, all I need is, like, a couple of activations from this survival, and I'm good to go. So, I think we're fine. Actually, I can even just sack... I can throw these Rudwallas on the garbage. So, we're gonna block the big zombie. The reason being because my opponent can just get this one back. So, block there. And now, discard Rudwalla to Mongrel. So this is now a 3/3. Discard Mage to Mongrel. And discard Mongrel to Mongrel. And now we're good. Upkeep, we're going to discard the Squee that's going to come back. Oh, I guess we don't have to discard Squee, actually. So we're just going to sack Rudwalla, get back Squee, say no to Genesis, play land. And I guess I'm just gonna play out another Mongrel and send it back. I mean, he's gonna be taking 4 this turn. Bad Moon. That's not bad. One of the best possible top decks there. Desperation attack. Okay. I guess I can just go get Monk Realist and kill this thing, but I don't care about this thing anymore. My opponent has to sack it next turn. So we take 8. I mean, we just killed him now. Yeah, this is just lethal. This is actually just lethal. So, Madness, 1, green, 1. We take 8, make this black, take 8 and swing back for lethal. So, upkeep, we're going to Genesis back, Rootwalla, GG Solly. So we're gonna just like go off with this survival and just do some things. Why can't I activate survival? What? Oh, it stacked the triggers like this. All right, I mean that's awkward, but it's fine. Like it's still lethal anyway. So yeah, they just die. Well, so that was weird. Like that dystopia really got me really a little bit off. But it worked out just fine. We were able to pivot and change. Like it's the first time that I'm playing against the card dystopia, and the upkeep triggers, man, those are awkward. Those are awkward. So see you for the next round. Round number 4. Let's see what's up here. Oh, this hand doesn't do anything, so easy mulligan. This one does some stuff. So the question now is whether I want to bottom. I mean, I think I'm keeping this hand, but I'm not even sure that I'm going to be casting Careful Study on turn 1, honestly. So I think I'm just going to bottom an island, and I'm just going to go turn 1 island go, and see what happens. Well, Forest and Land War Elves is terrible, terrible news for the good guys here. So let's go, let's fetch, and I guess I'm just going to play Wild Mongrel here. We don't really have too much going on, so we're pretty far behind. I would love to find, I guess I'm going to have to CDO Brass. I'm going to have to Careful Study next turn. And that may have been a reason to play CDO Brass last turn as opposed to the fetch land. And the reason for that would have been so that I can melee mage. Okay. So Priest of Titania is obviously terrifying. I can't cast melee mage even if I do find it. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to play out Water from Bouncer, play CDO Brass, and just swing in for 2. I don't think, again, like Careful Study is pretty awkward here. How do we get out of this mess? So we have to dodge Survival. If we can dodge Survival somehow, oh, that's a lot of mana. So that's 3 mana from the Priest, and there's the Survival. That's very bad news for us. So now they can go find Quirion Ranger. Opponent doesn't have outrageous amounts of mana. They have decent amount of mana, but not outrageous just yet. It's gonna get outrageous soon enough, though. Oh no, it's actually gonna get outrageous this turn, yeah, because they still have a land drop to give, and they can Survival for Quirion Ranger. This is gonna be 3 mana. Then they untap. Yeah, this is gonna be pretty bad for us. Yeah, I guess we're not gonna be able to Water from Bouncer quickly enough, unfortunately, here. So they discard Hermit to get Squee. Discard Squee to get Quirion Ranger. There we go. Now they play Ranger. Now they can untap Priest. That's gonna be 4 mana. They get to replay the Forest. Another Survival discarding Sharpshooter. Interesting. They get Anger. Discard Anger, and now I imagine they're gonna find the Granger. Yep. So Granger's gonna find a mountain, and this is gonna make my Water from Bouncer kind of embarrassing. Opponent can get in there for 2 if they want to. We're not in good shape. We're not in good shape here. How do we turn this around? Okay, Careful Study. It's not quite it. Not quite it. So I'm gonna discard Forest and Rootwalla. Not looking great here. We're gonna cast another Study, hoping to find something good here. Survival and Mage. Yeah, my opponent has gone too wide. I don't think I can keep up with this. So Elves is a horrendous matchup for us. It's pretty close to unwinnable. So I guess I'm gonna go with Monk Realist here. And that's really the only card that I think I care about. Like, I don't think I want to be bringing in Naturalizes. I don't think it's going to be a grindy matchup, so we're just going to need to draw and not draw. That's the goal here. That's the strategy. So bring in more Creolist to destroy a survival and cut maybe Waterfront Bouncer. Bouncer allows me to like replay Monk Realist, but I don't think that's going to be relevant enough. And sure, my opponent's going to have stuff like Tangle Wire and whatnot. I mean, maybe they aren't, but like it's likely they have something like that. And if that's the case, that's going to be bad. But I think I'm going to keep this hand. We have Double Plow. We have Frantic Search for the Arrogant Worm. And I think I'm going to be... Am I casting Careful Study on 1? Or do I just pass the turn back? I kind of want to just cast Study on 1 so I can dig. I guess I can just... So let's pass the turn back this turn. We can Careful Study next turn. And if we find a land, what that's going to do is it's going to allow me to plow here. Perfect. Okay, so now I can go Island to Careful Study. Discarding Rudwala Squee. This is kind of nice. Madness, and now we're gonna fetch for planes, and now we're gonna plow the Fiendhorn Elves to stop my opponent's development a little bit. So really hoping to find a land. Really hoping to find a land here. Meddling Mage would also be fantastic. Third Squee, awesome. Okay, so not too many choices here. We obviously have to plow the Priest of Titania there, so play Survival. Okay, so is there a reason to Arrogant Worm first? I don't think so. So let's just attack, and I guess the reason would be to draw exactly... I guess if I find exactly Monk Realist, then it's better for me to do this right now. I did not find Monk Realist though. 1, 2, 3. We're gonna get, we're gonna get to Madness, the Arrogant Worm here, so it's not the end of the world, but we're not necessarily in great shape. So we really have to find Monk Realist ASAP, because this survival is gonna own us. This even after my opponent's draw was kind of slow. Okay, they go get Squee, which doesn't really do too much. So they bounce Forest and replay it, which is fine, but now they discard Squee. So now we really need to find that Monk Realist. Or survival, I guess. Man, finding these many Squees is just so bad right here. Opponent gets Anger. Land doesn't do anything for us. Okay, so we're just gonna jam. Hope that it's good enough. Swing. We just have to hope that my opponent's limitation on mana is gonna buy me enough time to actually get there. But I'm not particularly hopeful about my prospects here. So there goes Aquamoeba, and pass it back. So next turn we are gonna be swinging for 10, which is not great, but it's also not terrible. We know about Squee, we know about Anger, and that is them having a land there means that now they have Mountain. Now they can Squee, discard Anger for Priest, and now they're gonna get to go off. So this is bad for us now. So there's a Priest, cast Priest. Oh, they discard a Squee? Oh, they messed up big time. They had to discard Anger. Ooh, okay, maybe we can take advantage of this. That's an unfortunate mistake right there, yeah. Yeah, that's an unfortunate mistake. I get it, right? Like, you are always discarding Squee to survival, so I've done exactly what my opponent just did. I've done that multiple times myself. So it's not that crazy of a mistake, to be honest. All right, swing with the boys. I mean, I can just get my opponent down to 1 anyway, so pump there, discard there, Madness, and now if my opponent can lethal me, they can just lethal me. Not too much to do about this. This is just the way the cookie crumbles. Our hand did not develop particularly well. So it's just the way it is. Play Squee as a chump blocker and just say, do your best, opponent. Or do your worst. Just do your worst instead. They're at 1. So, we have a multitude of draws that can win us the game from here. That is Wonder, things like that. But I would have loved to have found like either the Monk Realist or Meddling Mage, anything like that that could have allowed me to actually stop a little bit my opponent's development. But right now, like they're just about to go crazy right now. So Anger has been discarded. We already know that they found another Priest. We already know they have Squee in hand, which they discard right there. So they're gonna get to do many things this turn. They can go find Wire with Symbiote, that can reset Quirion Ranger. Once Survival hits the battlefield out of the Elves deck, it's crazy. It just goes nuts so quickly. Multani Acolyte. I imagine now we're tapping. Okay, Symbiote, there it is. Tap for 4. I'm gonna bounce Acolyte. Yep. So each permutation nets my opponent more mana. And they can find, I guess, all 4 priests. I guess we killed one of them. So they can only find 2 of the priests. Alright. There's another Symbiote. Just the casual 9 mana. They discarded Hermit, so I wonder if they have another win condition. I imagine they have Kamal. But some lists have been moving away from Kamal. So I'm interested in seeing what my opponent's win condition is. Okay, so discard Acolyte to Survival for another Quirion Ranger. Really? Mana is the bottleneck right now? Okay, so they just keep tapping and tapping. 17 mana, no big deal. Oh, they have Masticore. Interesting. Man, that art is so ugly. I mean, is my opponent gonna have enough mana to kill everything? Because if I tap like Wonder or Survival. Okay, so they're smart. So they're actually killing the Aquamoeba here, which is what they should do. Because the Aquamoeba is what allows me to discard the Wonder and can allow me to swing for lethal. So very smart play from my opponent there. So I guess they actually cannot set up lethal here. Maybe Color of the Claw has been discarded. Why? Huh, I wonder why. Another Symbiote. I mean, I guess they can actually just kill my entire board here, huh? I have to imagine they can. Okay, yeah, 10 mana should be enough to just kill Arrogant Worm. I'm just dead. Yeah, so they just did the Elves thing. Yeah, that was one turn too slow. If I had run this the previous turn, maybe I actually had a shot. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, 3-1, not the worst, but yeah, the Elves matchup seems just unwinnable. So last round. Oh man, this hand. If this were a blue source, I would snap this off, but we have to ship it there. This hand also feels like a trap. We're gonna go to 5. This one is good though, so let's keep this one. We're obviously gonna keep Survival, and I think we're gonna keep Rootwalla, and I think we're gonna keep these 2 lands. So it's a matter of, do I wanna discard the Arrogant Worm, or do I wanna discard bottom? Do I wanna bottom Arrogant Worm, or do I wanna bottom Frantic Search? I think I want all 3 lands. If I keep Survival, Rootwalla, I can also just get greedy and bottom these 2. I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna bottom Worm and Plains. Be a little bit greedy. Let's go with Flooded Strand on turn 1 because it gives me more options. Like, I don't know if I want to go get a Plains here. Okay, we're playing against the Rock, so we're gonna really hope that they do not. So Final Island here. We're gonna really hope that they don't have what's his name? Naturalized effect. Duress is no big deal. Cabal Therapy, probably not that big of a deal either. Like, this draw is probably what? Like, dude, main deck Naturalized. Devastating, absolutely devastating. All right, send it back. That's so brutal. Let's see what they have here. Wall of Blossoms is fine. The question here is, am I willing to just slam here? Like, am I willing to just like play this Frantic Search, or do I want to wait for something else? I think I'm going to just play it out, and I'm gonna fetch for an island here. Plane, sorry. So we're just gonna Frantic Search here. We're gonna discard Rootwalla, and then okay, 2 Rootwallas that is. This on tap 3, which doesn't do anything, but all right. So now if we draw Survival, we are not in that great shape, but it's okay, I think. I think I need to kind of go for it a little bit here. Start to get some pressure on my opponent. Another Rootwalla. I'm gonna sit on that one, I think. I don't think I want to play it out. I want to make sure that if I find survival, I'm able to, you know, do something with it. Opponent takes that block, so I'm gonna pump the other one and send it back. I don't think I'm supposed to use Source of Plowshares that Wall of Blossoms just to, you know, get 2 points of damage. Sure, if they duress me, whatever, I'm gonna do it. But if they play a Baloth, I'd much rather make sure that I can plow that Baloth. Looks like they do. So now we really have to find survival, I think. We really have to find survival here. Okay, so they correctly sack. Careful study. Okay, survival? No. Okay, so we're gonna cast another Rootwalla and we're going to melee mage on Pernicious Steed. And we are all in here. We don't have anything else going on. And this is kind of awkward too because my opponent has a treetop village in play, which is kind of annoying. If they find a recurrent nightmare, I'm gonna be in a lot of trouble. Yeah, it's really bad for me that they had the naturalize there. If they hadn't had the naturalize immediately, I think we would have been in pretty decent shape, because we would have been able to just like get Wander going, start flying over, and sort of get around my opponent's stuff that way. But now we're not in great shape, I don't think. Opponent's got 5 cards in hand, they have 5 lands in play, which is even more mana than I have. Maybe I was supposed to hold on to the Careful Study last turn. The problem is, I'm not even sure that does anything for me. At least we do have attacks here, which is okay. Vendetta, okay, so they have Deed in hand. Good to know. Mongrel. I don't think I'm gonna play this Mongrel into a very face-up Pernicious Deed. Okay, so we're gonna pump the 2 Rootwallas that make sense to pump and send it back. But this is not looking good for us. This is not looking good at all for us. Dust Bowl. Kind of a beating. The question is my opponent going to Deed right now? Oof, second wall. Yikes. Triple wall? Or what? Baloth. It's worse. It's effectively another wall, but this one's worse for me too. Yeah, okay, I've seen enough. I can't really win this game anymore. I need an engine, I need survival going or something like that. So let's bring in Genesis. I like that. And besides that, I don't think there's anything else that I'm interested in, but I do think my main deck is pretty decent overall. I just have to dodge the turn 2 naturalize. Do I want to cut water from Bouncer? Is there any card that I'm interested in cutting here? I think melee mages are good. I think I want to cut water from Bouncer actually. Maybe I can cut Swords to Plowshares actually, just like a singleton copy of Swords. And probably Genesis is going to be better than that. But yeah, basically we really have to get the most mileage we have from the card Survival of the Fittest. That is the goal here. That is the entire strategy that we're going to try to put together. I could see cutting a Careful Study instead of Swords to Plowshares. No. I think Source is just better. Okay, this hand looks decent. Let's keep it. We got mana, we got Mongrel. Not like crazy good or anything like that, but I think it's a decent hand. I wish I could find, you know, one of my engine cards, which I have not been able to find so far. And I'm going to play out the Windswept Heath because I want to... The whole concept of fetching to thin is kind of flawed in my opinion, but in this deck I actually don't have that many fetchables, so it does kind of matter. So that's just, you know, interesting. Alright, so hoping to not face a turn 2 smaller. Although I guess if they turn 2 smaller, that's kind of nice because it means that they can't get the Arrogant Worm. I guess we want to dodge Cabal Therapy. That's the card that we really want to dodge here. Oh, there's the smaller. Okay. So here's a land that we're going to pass the turn back, and now we're going to be able to Frantic Search into Arrogant Worm. They don't know about the worm, which is nice. So now we get to end step. Surprise, surprise, here's a 4/4. Let's see what we find off of the frantic search here. Okay, so let's discard the worm, and I guess I'm gonna discard the land. Yeah, I think so. I think we're discarding the land. And now here's a 4/4. And I think I'm going to play Meddling Mage, and I'm gonna name Pernicious Deed. So Meddling Mage, name Deed. And am I playing out the Rootwalla? I think so. I think so. Like I think I want to pressure as much as I can here. It's worse if I find it is much worse for me if I find a survival. But then I can always just like discard the Arrogant Worm for no value. But now if they play the Baloth, I can always just plow it, which is Phyrexian Rager. Okay. Flooded Strand. I think that's okay. Go to combat. Swing with both of these. Gonna fetch for an island, and we're going to pump Rootwalla. I mean, that's 7 points of damage. That is not a small amount of damage. I wonder if I should have served with Meddling Mage just to entice the trade. Nah, there's no way. Yeah, I don't think that's... There's no way that's right. 4 mana. There's the Baloth. So now we plow the Baloth, and we make the exact same attack. Source of Plowshares. Although I guess I can actually send now with the Mage. Because if I send the Mage... Interesting. Well, I think we're just gonna attack with everything. Send with the Mage. If opponent Pernicious Deed, then they're not gonna be able to kill both of my things. So I think this is actually a fine attack here. They take 5 down to 7. They take 5 down to 7, and now we careful study. Discard Arrogant Worm, discard Frantic Search. Madness the Worm. And now, even if they do have the deed, it just doesn't matter, because if they play it, they die. So we're kind of, yeah, just playing blue-green aggro. just 5-drop aggro was good enough to get there. That was cool. That's kind of cool. All right, so any changes for game number 3? Any changes for game number 3? I'm not super high on Source of Plowshares. Though, to be fair, I'm also not particularly high on the card Counterspell, nor Waterfront Bouncer either. Like, all of those cards seem very mediocre to me. I think I'm going to go with Swords over Waterfront Bouncer. I may regret this. I am very well aware that I may regret this, but I don't know, man. Like, this is so close. This is so freaking close. Maybe I should be cutting Aquamoeba. Aquamoeba just lines up so poorly against all of my opponent's creatures. Like, it doesn't trade. It doesn't even trade with a Rager. A Rager just brick walls an Aquamoeba unless I want to discard a card to trade. Like, it's just so bad. Yeah, I guess Aquamoeba is just potentially a worse card than Waterfront Bouncer. It does enable my fastest aggro starts as basically Bad Wild Mongrel number 5. But it's probably still not worth it. What do we got here? I mean, if we find lands, this hand kind of slaps. I think I'm keeping it. We really need to find lands, though. That is the only thing here. We really need to find lands. How about another Rootwalla? Okay, I'm playing one. Playing one of them. Also, my only land being Acidio Brass. It's kind of a beating, I gotta be honest. Don't play a wall, don't play a wall, don't play a wall. Land. Perfect. Okay. So I think we buff here? No, we don't buff. If we find the land, we're gonna be cooking. If we do find the land, we're gonna be cooking. Deed. Okay. That's cool and all. It's not cool. Fetch for a forest. Kind of wanted to delay that, but at this point, Meddling Mage just doesn't really do anything, so maybe I should have access to some sort of, you know, to prevent this specific scenario. Maybe I should have access to some sort of enchantment removal. City of Brass. Making it really painful on me, are you, deck? Making it real painful on me. What do you got, opponent? Bailoff. Bailoff is cool. I think it's just fine. So end step. Damn, this is gonna be a painful. This is a painful arrogant worm right here. Okay, let's actually discard Wonder here. 1, 2, 3, because now I get to 1, 2, 3. Like if I find an island, I'm actually, or a fetch land, I'm gonna be in okay shape. No island, so let's careful study. Man, we're taking 1,000,000 damage. Island, yes. Squee, discard squee. Play island, serve, and I think we pump. Just have my opponent take 7. Yeah, that island draw was very clutch. Now we can plow something. We're kind of forcing my opponent to spend their entire turn just popping these D's. Otherwise, we're representing lethal next turn. I think I'm just gonna take the chump on the Bailoff. Like my opponent obviously should attack, and then we can just chump block. Okay, sack to gain 4. They're just gonna pop for 5. I do accept these terms and conditions. I am honestly considering Source of Plowshare in my own arrogant worm here, but I'm not gonna. Okay, so do I want? Okay, that's good. That's good because it means a lot less damage for me. I think I'm gonna Frantic Search main phase, discarding Squee and Worm. 1, 2, 3. And Madness the Worm. And I think we just ship it. There's an argument there for just like casting the Careful Study right now to protect it from a duress or something like that. But I think that being able to enable another worm off the top seems pretty relevant. They just do nothing. Interesting. Alright. Draw Squee. I think I want to fetch for a forest. Let's actually fetch for plains. And now we're gonna Careful Study main phase. Nice. Alright. Madness, Rudwala, discard Squee. We're gonna lead on Serve with Worm. We're gonna see what my opponent does. And then I'm going to play Meddling Mage. And we're gonna name Pernicious Deed. Pernicious Deed. It's wild how many cards we've drawn this game. Not even activating Dust Bowl. Treetop Village. I mean, we kind of do have lethal on board. Smother. Okay. Now we don't have lethal on board anymore. Do we have the deed, opponent? Are you willing to do the deed? Squee comes back. Squee comes back. Let's see what's up. Counterspell is very strong. Counterspell is extremely strong. That should seal it, I think. So let's pump. And now we have Plow for the treetop if my opponent wants to get cheeky or something. And then we have Counterspell for the Pernicious Deed. So I think we should have it locked. City of Brass. That's not going to be too much help. They're just taking 2 points. Alright, I appreciate the seppuku. Good games, opponent. Good games. That was nice. That was very nice. Alright, so 4-1. That was very nice looking, honestly. That worked out fairly well. So I do have some pretty interesting thoughts, though, after having played that entire league. The very first one is, I think we need actual islands, but I'm not necessarily sure that we need actual forests. So it was a little bit awkward to cast Meddling Mage in a couple of spots because I was playing like an island on turn 1, and then on turn 2 I kind of wanted to play my forest, and that just kind of locked me out of casting Meddling Mage or something like that. So that was kind of awkward. So that's something that I want to be thinking about. Maybe I want like 1 or 2 basic forests, and maybe I want, I don't know, like brushland or something like that. The problem with that, obviously, however, is that now all of a sudden my fetch lands actually lose a lot of value. And again, like we saw it in the very last match, right, where City of Brass just dealt me like 1,000,000 damage with like untapping, Frantic Search, casting Arrogant Worm and stuff. So there's only so many pain lands that you can be playing. That's why I was, that's why I was experimenting with playing Undiscovered Paradise instead. So I feel like there's something extra to work in there. So I do think we want 4 flooded strands and like 4 or 5 islands. And then after that, I feel like we don't want all the way up to 4 basic forests. So maybe some other type of dual land. The problem is like they're just pain lands. That's kind of like the issue, right? So if we want like maybe another Yavimaya Coast, maybe a brushland or something like that, at Darker Wastes potentially, but I don't know how many of those we can actually play, but I do think that we need to move around those numbers a little bit. Speaking of Undiscovered Paradise, this card was heinous, so I definitely want to be trying 1, potentially 2 copies of Treva's Ruins. I think 2 is going to be a little bit way too clunky. We're only playing 22 lands, and if you ever have like a 2 Treva's Ruins draw, you're just so in such bad shape. So yeah, I don't think I want to be playing 2. I mean, I could see trying it out, but I don't know. In fact, that could be one of the lands that we play instead of a forest. So I could see something like cutting 1 forest, cutting the Paradise, trying 2 Treva's Ruins and see what's up, like just to see what happens. That being the case, I think I would cut one of these fetch lands for a brushland or something like that instead, to try to make sure that my fetch land doesn't go there. Because at this point, we only have 4 fetchables, right? Maybe 2 fetch lands for 4 fetchables is just fine, but I don't know. That's definitely something also to keep in consideration if we are making this kind of change. Besides that, I really like the spell suite. Aquamiva felt kind of very bad, but unfortunately I feel like we're just kind of stuck with it, mostly because we really want Wild Mongrels, and this is like the 5th Wild Mongrel, which is very bad. So that's the thing. Besides that, the spell suite felt great. I loved Meddling Mage. I feel like it helped a lot in disrupting my opponent. We really saw it in that last match versus what's his name, the Rock, where you're always forcing your opponent before they even play the deed. You're always forcing them to just have access to a way to kill the mage on top of the pernicious deed. So you can never get that blown out. If you have Meddling Mage going on, you're still forcing your opponent to have multiple spells in order to deal with your board. Squee number 3 is, I think, is the perfect number. It's crazy to me that people want to go all the way up to 4. 4 always feels like I flood on them. Even in some games, like you just draw 2 squeeze sometimes, and it just feels terrible. Like if you don't draw any of your frantic searches or careful studies or survival, if you don't have any of these engines already ticking, then all of a sudden Squee becomes really bad. Obviously, these cards become exponentially better the second that you have access to a Squee. So there's a little bit of a balance there to be stricken, but I think 3 is the number that I've been the happiest with, and it has felt pretty good. Like when I tried 4, I was always flooding on Squeeze, and I didn't like that. The sideboard is a mess. The sideboard is just a mess. So the cards that I want are these right here. I think these are great cards. This is a great card. This is a great card, and then these at least 4 Hydroblast effects I'm gonna want to have access to. So I think these 10 cards are kind of locked, and then all 5 of these could be literally anything else that you wanted. Unfortunately, so the Elves matchup looked heinous, and I think that it probably just is. I don't think there's anything that we can do, unless we do something wild, like splashing, like 4 Pyrokinesis. At that point, we would probably need to have access to more Squeeze, to like the 4th copy of Squee. But that kind of stuff that Cyberpunker has been doing, you could try to do something similar to that. I don't know if it's gonna be good or not. We'll see. Yeah, that's the Cyber is definitely the thing that needs the most work. And I could see arguments for cutting every single one of these lands to play something else, to be honest with you. But yeah, so I mean, 4-1 is not bad. 4-1 is not bad at all, particularly for a very experimental list that I'm far away from, and that I actively, I'm gonna say, suboptimal list. 4-1 with an actively suboptimal list feels pretty decent. So this is a space that I'm very interested in exploring. I am really interested in the whole Madness archetype. I was always very hype about it because it has a ton of nostalgia for me. But the straight blue-green lists that I have seen, I was not excited by. I think that Daze is just not a very good card in that deck. I think the play patterns that Daze requires you to be able to accommodate are just terrible for this kind of strategy. Like, you want to get onto the board quickly, and Daze is actively hurting you and preventing you from doing that. And it's not like you can play something on turn 1 to like be on the board on turn 1 and then just take it from there. Like, it just doesn't happen, right? You only have Careful Study to play. I've also seen deck lists playing Ponder, which I thought was very, very interesting, and it's something that if I were playing blue-green, I would certainly try to explore and try to see how it goes. But the blue-green versions a la Cyberpunker are not for me. I don't like them. I feel like they're just missing just something. And this right here, I feel like it's a big part of what they're missing. Like this Swords to Plowshares Melee Mage, I feel like it's it's a step in the right direction, at least in my eyes. Obviously, Cyber has been doing great with his list, and it just works for him like nobody else, you know. But I'm very, very interested in seeing whether Swords to Plowshares Melee Mage is the place to be. I know that I need to do something. I know that I want to do something about the deck list, something about the original deck list needs to change. And obviously, again, like as I explained in the deck, these counter spells are just kind of whatever. Like this could be anything else. The cards that I want are all of the other ones. Like these 2 counter spells can be whatever the hell you want. If you want to play like mainly disenchant effects, like this is a fine thing to be cutting and that kind of stuff. But counterspell felt like a fine catch-all. And it was actually not awkward. Like, it did exactly what I wanted to do, right? Like, I'm not trying to counterspell something on turn 2. I'm trying to counterspell a Replenish or, like, a late-game Pernicious Deed. Like, that's the stuff that I'm trying to counterspell. I'm not really trying. That's why I'm only playing 2 copies. I'm not trying to cast this card early. I want to cast this card on turn 8 or 10. So, yeah, this was cool. I had a really good time. This deck is always very... It's just very cool. It's just a very, very cool deck. It's doing the interactions are very exciting to me. Just being able to play threats at instant speed. It just has something very, very special to me. And I love that it's a viable strategy in Premodern. And this seems like a very interesting step, hopefully in the right direction. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the content. If you did, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button on the way out. And if you would like to support my content, you can do so through using TCG Player and Mana Traders' services. Whenever you use the link that you will find in the description below, you will also find a 10% discount for Mana Traders if you're interested in participating in the Magic Online Society events. And finally, if you would like to support my content directly, you can do so through Patreon, through direct donations. You can also check out my coaching offerings. And that's going to be it for me today. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.